Oh, welcome, everyone. Let's give ourselves a nice big Zoom round of applause for being here. Welcome or welcome back if this is your second day, your third day, or your first day. Regardless, we are so happy and appreciative you are here with us. Thank you so much for joining us at Performing the World 2025, Day 3. Once again, let's big shout out to anyone who's hosting a watch party. We have people all around the world hosting watch parties. I see you waving. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for hosting the watch parties. The collective watching parties are amazing. This morning, we went from the stage to the street and back in India, followed by listening from the heart, American Friends of the Parents Circle. And now we're going to continue that healing the wounds of civil war through play and performance. Zooming all the way from Bogota, Colombia, he is Daniel Buritica. How are you doing, Daniel?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, and hi everyone. Very nice to be here. Thank you so much. So, Des, do you want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time to share what we do, what we have done these years. What I would do is I will share a presentation with a little bit of my story and the story around what we do, and then we open the floor to questions, comments, and have a little talk. Also, would like to hear your impressions of what I'm going to share. So, with no further introduction, um, so here's how it started. Let me share a little bit of my story. This is me, um, like many years ago, starting to. But this is the day I graduated from high school, and a couple months after that, my aunt, my aunt Maria, was kidnapped by the FARC, the main guerrilla army group in the country. Um, Here's my aunt Maria. Is the one that is in the middle. My mother, my grandmother, and but my aunt Maria, she had a small house out in the town side of the country, and some guys with arms took her from there. We're lucky because my aunt is alive. The Colombian army rescued her in a military operation. But here, many people, friends of mine, their family members did not run with the same luck that we did. Um, and when she came back, what she said was, "Danny, do not have hard feelings for what happened to us, but better do something about it, so this country can change." And in that moment, I found this quote of a young man that asked life the same question that farmer asked to the field: "What are you going to give me?" And the field responds, "The same as you give me." So when I started my college years, 20% of that was going to classes, and 80% was going to as many communities I could and do some volunteering and social work. You were building houses or working with kids in the slums outside Bogota, or working with homeless people. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, for me, this doing this work was um, gratifying. I really love it. But at some point, I say, okay, if I what is the kind of impact I can create if I dedicate all my days and all my life to this? It's probably gonna be um, very will feel very grateful and very nice for me. But what if I invite other people to do the same? And this at that point that this story, I heard this story. That is a very popular story. Probably some of you heard this before, and it's this story of this man that is in London. He's a writer that he's writing his novel. He thinks it's gonna be his bestseller, and one day just he just ran out of inspiration. He's looking what to do. He took his car, went down to Portsmouth, which is we had some sea and the sand and the beach, and it was almost winter. And he started walking in the beach to look for inspiration, and he see this young boy taking a starfish from the sand and throwing it to the sea, and doing that one and again and again and again, one time and again and again. And he came to this young boy and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm saving the starfish." And this guy looked at him and say, "Do you see that that's impossible? You will be never be able to save all of them. The sand is full of starfish." And he took one starfish, sent it to the sea, and said, "For that starfish, I was the difference." So at that point, I thought that doing my volunteer work, I was doing something for someone and probably was being the difference for someone, or at least hoping that to happen. But it changed the end of the story. For me, the story ends in that this guy, this writer, see the kid and said, "You are right." But the problem is not that you or myself that we want to save the starfish. The problem is that we are alone on this beach. And he came back to his house. The next day, he comes back and see that this kid has invited all his friends to do the same. He started to help, and at the end of the day, there was no starfish on the sea, on the sand. Um, so I said, what if I can do something like that? What if I start inviting my friends to do this kind of volunteer work and help other people? And in the context that we live here in Colombia, that was very relevant because, as you might know, we have had like more than 70, 80 years of our internal conflict here. Um, but how to do that? So the first thing I notice is that when people invite myself or my friends to do this kind of volunteer work, it was a little bit like this. Right? There's people in need that need you. And we just change perspective. But we say, what if we invite them to do something very fun? And it's something that appeal to them, to their interests. So when people start coming to me and say, "Daniel, I want to do something, I want to be a volunteer, I want to help children in need, for example," I say no. And why not? So, okay, wait, instead of looking outside, why don't you look first inside? Tell me, what is your passion? What are you passionate about? Music. Okay, let's change the world through music. Or magic or soccer. Okay, let's change the world through soccer. So the first thing that we started to do was inviting people to look inside, look for their passions, and do something with that, those kind of talents and passions that they have to impact someone else's life. And so for example, here's Alejandro. At the beginning, he was not the, or at least he saw himself as not like the kind of guy that do volunteer work, but then he was passionate about photography. So we invited him to start taking pictures of the activities that we did. And at the end, he was very engaged with that. He started being a great volunteer, and he created his own project to transform um, culture around, transform society around culture and photography. Or this guy that once came and told me, "Okay, Daniel, but having a passion like soccer, music, or magic is okay, and I know what I can do with that, but my passion is being an anthropologist. What can I do with that?" I say, "I don't know. What do you think?" When we start doing this brainstorm work, and he said, "Okay, well, I have an idea. Why don't we go downtown here in Bogota at night and we put some costumes of historical characters, of Colombian historical characters, and we go to these historical places where things happened regarding our history, and we invite people to go there, hear the story of this character, and to go to the next station." They said they had to accomplish some challenges, and most of the challenges were related to social challenges, especially with homeless people. I say, well, Nano was his nickname, Nano. That sounds great, but who is gonna be there standing up in the middle of the night? It's gonna be cold with this costume. I mean, who's gonna do that? And he said, "You and me." And here we are a couple of years ago, doing these first experiences where we start inviting people to help in different ways. We learn a lot from people in this that were living in the streets. They gave us very good advices. I still remember that. And at the end, we came with this idea of helping ways you love, so helping becomes something you love. And we start sharing this with young people in universities, schools, and around the country. And then when they start looking for their passion and say, okay, and I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm passionate about, then look for a problem, look outside, and make your community's problems your own. Choose one. There are many things that you can do. Like David Biscott said, the purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it. And the meaning of life is to give your gift away. You start promoting this and then saying have different tools to do this in an innovating way. You start talking a lot about innovation and creativity and performing and doing things differently to invite people to help others and to be volunteer and then create a community, invite others to do the same. And we start creating this movement of young people being social entrepreneurs and helping others. And then we share, this work. And we gave this example at that point. We say, this is a very popular singer in Colombia. His name is Juanes. So his passion is, of course, music. The problem that he wanted to solve is he wanted peace for the country. And in a moment, a very critical moment that we had many years ago, when for the first time in history, Venezuelan government moved war tanks to the border with Colombia. Juanes did a concert in the border of Colombia and Venezuela, inviting Colombians and Venezuelans to come together and sing for peace, this peace without frontiers. And he created a community, he invited his friends to do the same, and we had pictures like these ones. And then he did it again in Cuba. They said unforgettable concert for peace, and he did it again in Cuba with pictures like these ones. So we said, okay, this might work. And Jace Maps once said, if we keep thinking the same and acting the same, we will keep achieving the same results. So we start doing things differently to invite people to join us, and people did. Um, and one day we already had this network, um, and one day we were in very good friend of mine, Miguel. We start with him this together. He was very sad because Miguel said his father, for work reasons, they moved him to another city. So he was not going to be in the capital city with us, but in another city. It's not very far away. But he was sad that he was not going to keep doing the work that we were doing. I said, Miguel, don't get sad. Just start your own project there and we will go and help you. And that's what happened. He started a project there. He invited volunteers. We were some of those volunteers. The project at the beginning was with kids of vulnerable communities of that region. And we went there. We helped Miguel. We worked with the kids. It's a beautiful region in Colombia, so we had fun and we came back. 6 months later, he came back to me and said, Danny, I want to do it again. Yeah, sure. That sounds great. But what if we do it differently? What if go there, work with the kids that are there? What if we take kids from the slums in Bogota that they have never gone outside the city and we take them to another city and to the countryside? I said, okay, that sounds good. So we partnered with an NGO and that's what we did. And it was amazing. You can imagine these kids. The first time that you see someone like, for example, going to the countryside that is warmer than the capital city. So there's like, the way it smells, it was different. For them, it was a whole experience. The way that imagine that countryside was with lions and mountains. There's nothing like that here. Um, and I still remember we were in a bus, 10 kids, 15 volunteers, and we found a place that had a swimming pool. And you can imagine the first time the kids saw the swimming pool, where the eyes were shining. Say swimming pool, they were very excited about it. They would put their swimming suits, they came running, and one clever friend of mine said, wait a minute. How many of you have been a swimming pool before? None. Well, but how many of you know how to swim? A lake or whatever? None. So the swimming pool had this little jacuzzi by the side. We went took them to the jacuzzi that was not that dangerous. And then we took the challenge to teach them how to swim. I don't know how we learned that. It's very difficult. We did our best. At the end of the week, they were not swimming, but they were floating. The 10 of them, and the last night, also for the whole week, we were in the swimming pool. We went to know the countryside and horse riding, and it was beautiful. Um, yeah, they were not sinking. That's right. And at the last night, I remember we were having our last dinner together, and George, one of the kids, like he was by my side. George stood up and put in front of us. George, what are you doing? You haven't finished. He said, no, no, no. It's that we have prepared a surprise for you. And all the kids stood up and put in front of us like we were in a theater or something. And I still remember um, George was 9 years old. He took a step forward and said, in the name of the boys, I want to say sorry if we did something wrong. And Judy, one girl, 7 years old, he took a step forward and said, in the name of the girls, I want to say thank you for everything you have done for us. And we have prepared a song for you. Now, they start singing two voices, that beautiful, those kind of songs that have the power to melt your tears. And we were very, very emotional, very excited. And we were the adults. We had to do something. I mean, they prepared a surprise for us. We had nothing. So they were to put their pajamas on, and I started saying my friends, okay, let's turn off the lights, take candles out, and and you can imagine how it was for me to see them. I see them coming. I gave the kids the candle and I asked him, go by the side of the pool when they learn how to swim. Go by the side of the pool and wait for me there. And when I got outside, there was this moon, full moon. The kids there by the side of the pool with their candles. And in that moment, a story was born that I told them that day. I told them, kids, once upon a time, many, many years ago, a kid like you fell in love with the moon. And he didn't know how to make the moon fell for him because it's very hard. You cannot give her chocolates because she cannot taste it. You cannot give her flowers because she cannot smell it. So every night, this kid starts turning on candles so the moon could see him. And the moon fell in love with this kid. And that's impossible, but it happened. So it was the sun and all the planets in this assembly, and the moon arrived with her crown of clouds and said, I fell in love with this kid and I wanted to be with him. And it was a universal scandal. There was all debating, and after some time, the sun came back to the moon and said, we have come to a conclusion. We believe that we cannot deny happiness to someone that found it, but we also believe that we cannot deny the moon to the whole humanity. If one day these kids understand that life um, is is not about turning on candles, but helping people and turning on people's hearts, then one day he will be able to be with the moon. And that's what this kid did. He started being a volunteer. He started helping other people and created these amazing projects. And one day, when he was not a kid anymore, was an adult in front of a lake one night of full moon, he took off his clothes and he started down the water. And when he was coming down, the lake was also coming down to touch the lake. And when the moon touched the lake exploded like a volcano. And in that moment, the stars were born. And we told the kids, kids, that's what life is about. Life is about doing something for others. We did this for you, and we want you to do the same for someone else. And then we took out the candles that we had, and they came to came to turn on those candles, and at the end we um, burned a piece of paper that each of us had with some dreams that we have wrote. And I still remember the dream of one of my friends, David. He took his piece of paper, he cut it in half, he burned the first half and said that first half had the names of these kids because my dream is that they have a beautiful life. And this other half, he burned it and looked at us and said that half had nothing on it, was blank. Because my dream is that we write a new story with these kids. And that's what happened. We commit ourselves that had need to happen again somewhere around the country, and that we need to take kids and young people to come together and live what we live during that week. And that's how Bakondo, this summer camp, was born. Summer camp where at that moment how it started was Young people from private universities in Bogota doing these summer camps for low-income kids, people that many of them sons of homeless people, for example. Some years ago, oh, yeah, many years ago now, um, there was a group of people in England that came and did a little documentary about the work that we do. I just brought you 40 seconds of that documentary so you can have a sense of what is Bakongo nowadays and what we do with them. Here it goes. We work with kids with very difficult backgrounds. Their parents have been exposed to drugs, prostitutions, and many of these kids have been exposed to violence. The first 10 years of their lives has not been easy. We take them out of the city and up to the mountains, and we create a camp for them called Bakongo. And they come here, and here they start smiling. It's a real escape from the difficulties back home, but it doesn't end here. After the camp, we keep supporting them, and every year a new group of kids come and join our ever-growing Bakongo family.
Que gracias por todo, por enseñarme a ser valiente, a seguir adelante sin importar las dificultades que hayan, a sonreír siempre y nunca apagar esa alegría que tengo.
They take home the values that we teach them, this experience. They want to share this with their friends. So at the end, even though we can't change their past, we can do something for their future and for our future. If you have been following Performing the World from the last years, probably you know about Carlos Lopez, a good friend of mine who used his magic to help people. He's a magician. Carlos is the one that is giving a hug behind of me in that picture with the green band in his head. That was the moment he first met a kid that was also a little magician, how the project started. And like Carlos, many other people start having the same kind of experiences, finding our real teachers and masters were those kids, or having still are those kids. We found this in this camp a place where we can put our talents and our passions um, to 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 give those talents and passion for other people. The result, after some years, we have been doing this for 20 years. More than 50 camps around the city. People from different countries have come and joined us. More than 1,600 kids have joined the camps from different communities. Also volunteers and some recognitions. And we start using, not only during the camp, but after the camp, you start using this storytelling to invite people to join this experience and to join, more than the experience, to join this feeling of how you can actually give back and help other people. And we took a story. Now we have a lot, but this probably have been the most important one, because the story that we always tell people when they approach to us. And this is a story, is a real story. 1972, there's a rugby team in Chile that is going for a very important match in Uruguay. Sorry, the other way around. Uruguay going to Chile, and in the middle of the flight, the airplane crash in the mountains. And there's snow all the time. There have been a few movies about it. Survive, and there's one, Life of Society of Snow. I don't know how to translate it. That even in Spanish was something like Society of Snow. It's a recent movie. And the movie, you can see everything that they had to do to survive. It's awful. There was 40, 45 of them. Some weeks later, there was only 27. They had a little radio, and they heard that the search was canceled because the government thought that they were dead. And they tell that they had three options: taking all by the hands and throw themselves to the mountain and kill themselves, or wait there but probably die because there was no food, or go and look for help. So they decide not to go all of them. They chose two, Roberto and Nando. and they started preparing them for this adventure. And they put in a little leather bag some provisions so they can go and look for help. And before going, Nando took a pair of baby shoes and gave one baby shoes to Carlitos, his best friend, and said, "This baby shoes for you to wait for me." And they start walking. It took them 11 days. They almost died a few times. It was very hard. It was very cold. They were in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. But 11 days after that, they were by the side of a river. They saw two Chilean farmers, and they thought that they were going to survive. They realized that they were going to survive, and in that moment, Nando took the baby shoe and thought about Carlitos. And actually, in the movie, you can see how when he's coming, Carlitos had the other pair and was waiting for him. Like that. That's a screenshot of the movie. And when I saw that movie and heard about that story, I said, okay, that's the same thing that happened to us. Society gave us everything in that letter bag, gave us the chance to speak probably several languages, to travel, the chance to study, the chance to have 3 weeks, 3 meals per day. I live in a country where there's people that have not 3 meals per day. They gave us everything, waiting for us to go and look for help. And I'm very sad when I see people that say, okay, thank you. I'm already making money. Goodbye. And forget about that. They forget about the people that they never had the chance to study. They never had the chance to travel. They never had the chance to eat 3 times per day. So what I did was to start I bought a pair of baby shoes and I gave one to one of my friends and said, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to tell people that in the bag of life, we all have a baby shoe and we need to do something about it. And we need to start giving back and helping people. And I start sharing this story in different schools around the city, then different universities around the city. Then they started inviting me to different companies to share the story and a little bit of the work that we do. Everything was going well until I started receiving some baby shoes to my house, and my mother was very worried. It was not what she was thinking. And then I had the opportunity to share that in different scenarios, first in my country and then in other countries. First in the region, Venezuela, Honduras, Mexico, Costa Rica, and then other countries, other continents, Spain, Ireland, Scotland, Singapore. Here I am in India trying to do what you do in India. And at the end, I had the chance to go and share what we do in many places. And one of those places was this One New World. One New World today is the most important event for young people. After the Olympics is that event that are more people, is the event that gather more countries. And the founder of this event, her name is Kate Robertson. At the end, it has been worth it. With this organization and the volunteer movement that we created. So we have contributed to more than 200,000 hours of volunteer to society. More that I could do with myself if I dedicate my life only to volunteering. I was not going to achieve that. So the fact that we can invite other people to throw starfish to the sea and do something was worth it. We did different kind of events, not only the camps, but fundraising events and different kind of things. And at the end, more than 5,000 people have joined us in those kind of events. We partner with different organizations around the country. And here is Kate Robertson, because some years ago, I was doing one of these talks and it's in London, and she's in London. And she invited me to have a cup of coffee. And she asked, Danny, what are you doing? I said, okay, I'm doing this and that and the camps and share a little bit of this story. And she asked, why? And she said, well, Kate, because my dream is that at some point, my country is going to live in peace. And I want to be part of that, to heal my country. In this moment, just to give you context, in this moment, the Colombian government, there was a rumor that the Colombian government and the main guerrilla, the FARC guerrilla, they were going to start some peace talks, but that was only a rumor. With time, that became a reality and became a peace treaty. But at this moment of time, that was only a rumor. Um, so she said, Danny, that's great. And it's great because we're going to have this event, One Young World, in Ireland. And you know that Ireland also, they had a conflict similar and they had guerrillas. And she managed with Bob Geldorf, the artist, both of them, they managed to sit together as Sean Murray, who was the chief of the IRA at that point, and his enemy in the other army forces that were in Ireland, and both of them they were going to do together a panel about youth and reconciliation, and they were going to share their stories, and they were bringing people from a lot of countries in conflict. They will have people from Israel, Palestine, Congo, Afghanistan, North Korea. I mean, amazing. And she said, "Why don't you come and share what you are doing?" Well, yes, thank you, Kate. Yeah, of course, I would love to go there. But then she said, "Don't come alone. Why don't you come with someone from FARC, the guerrilla?" And I say, "No, no. I mean, they kidnapped my aunt. I don't think that my aunt would like me to bring a guerrilla soldier to Europe." And she said, "Why don't you ask her?" Okay. So I came back. My aunt Maria also, I mean, she's the angel of the family. She's a nurse. She never got married, so all her nephews are like her sons and daughters, and she lives with my grandma. So I went to my grandma's house and talked with my aunt. I say, "Aunt, I have this great opportunity of going to Europe and share what I'm doing here, but I will need to go with someone that was in the FARC." And she started crying. And she told me a story. Probably she told it before, but I just, at that point, I didn't remember it. She said, "Danny, when I was there, when I was kidnapped, there was this guy, a guerrilla soldier, that he tried to help me. During the morning, we had only one cup for taking the coffee, the morning coffee. So he gave me this cup first to me, so I don't have that like after everyone. And the night, so many times he helped me to build. They build in the jungle. They build like a with leaves and something so they can sleep inside that. And my aunt didn't know how to do that, so he helped her. And many times during the day, she has a disability of her hip, so she could not walk long distances. And they were in the middle of the jungle. The army was behind them, just like chasing them. So they had to walk long distances very fast. She couldn't do it. So many times he had to carry her like in his back like here. And when one of those long walks, he helped her, he carried her. And she said, "You know what? I feel that you are as kidnapped as I am. You don't want to be here," she told her. She told him. And he said nothing. And the next day, there was nobody around. So he came very quietly and said, "Grandma," because they told her grandma. He said, "Grandma, if one day I get out of here, would you take a cup of coffee with me outside?" And she said, "No." She said, "No, at this moment, because you are making my family suffer a lot, but maybe one day." The next week, the Colombian army entered and they had this fight and they rescued her and she never saw him again. So he said, "Go, look for a guy like him and take a cup of coffee on my name." And that's what he did. So here I am with Kate. This is One New World. I couldn't find this guy, but I found a guy, a former guerrilla soldier, who, when I was a young Colombian leader in a private university in the capital city, he was a young Colombian leader in a public university in Cartagena, which is another city. Um, I end up with my aunt kidnapped. He ended up in the FARC. And 10 years later, we knew each other. And I said, I want to go with him. His name is Regis. And to be honest, at the beginning, I think that I romanticized a little bit this whole idea of going with a guerrilla soldier. It was very hard when I saw him arriving to the airport. Because the Colombian government told me the only condition is that you have to go with him, like fly with him. I mean, because we need to stop in Frankfurt, change airplanes, and I mean he has never done that before. So if he get lost or something, I mean, yeah, he needs help. He doesn't speak English. And he said, okay, yeah, of course. And when I was with him at the airplane by his side, of course I was nervous and I didn't know what to do. So we start talking, talking and talking, and at the end I shared my whole story with him, and he did the same. Why he ended up there, how it was for him to go there and live there and fight and everything. And we arrived to Dublin. We couldn't find good Colombian coffee, so we sent my aunt this picture, and it was amazing. I mean, I met an amazing guy, and I can tell that now we're still friends. And I had the chance to take off the label of guerrilla soldier and get to know the human being that was behind that. Um, and saw a European city through his eyes was also amazing. As I told you, he does not speak English, so I had to translate everything. So it was a whole experience to sit, for example, by the side of Sean Murray and share with him all the advices that he was giving him, or with Paul Pullman, the global CEO of Unilever, who was also trying to interact with him and was in the middle of all that. And at the end, we had the chance to share a little bit of our story.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Regis from Colombia with his friend, Daniel.
Thank you. My name is Regis Ortiz. I am from Colombia y no aprendí a hablar inglés porque pensé que nunca iba a salir de mi país, pero hoy estoy aquí frente a ustedes, jóvenes del mundo.
My name is Daniel Buritica. I'm from Colombia too. I will be translating to my friend Regis. As he just said, he did not learn to speak English because he never thought to be here. My aunt was kidnapped by the FARC, the main guerrilla army group in the country. And Regis is an ex-soldier from that guerrilla.
Quisiera contarles un poco de mi historia.
I would like to tell you a little bit of my story.
Yo era líder.
This is a video that you can find in YouTube. I can share with you if you want. For time reasons, I'm not going to present it all the video, but he shared a little bit of his story, which is always impressive. And we became friends. This is the day he got married with Jeanette. Now she's his wife. And I mean, I was surprised by his story, but when I met Jeanette, her story is just unbelievable. In my family, we have a legal business here in Colombia. So I invite, after we came back to Bogota and we were friends, one day I told Regis, would you go to the family business that we have and share your story? I would love that the people that work with us and my parent and my sister, and they could hear you. He said, yeah, of course. And he went with Jeanette. This was before they got married. I didn't know her, and he shared his story. His story was still is very impressive, but her story, there's a movie about it. And this movie, the movie, The Woman of the Seven Names, she was here in the movie theaters because her story is just unbelievable. And he was 8 years part of this guerrilla movement. And at the end of that, my dad was there, and he came back to her. He gave her a hug. They started talking. My sister was there. My sister also came to Regis, and they start talking. 2 weeks after that, we have a gathering of the NGO, of our NGO, and Regis was there. My mom arrived, and they had the chance to talk also a little bit, and I started feeling that wound that we had started to heal. The narrative of my family about those guerrilla soldiers, you can imagine how the narrative was. That started to change. So one day I told Regis, you know what? I'm very grateful for our friendship. This is helping my family a lot. And I have a crazy idea. What if you invite 10 of your friends? So I told him, I have this summer camp. I have a summer camp. And what if you invite 10 of your friends, also former soldiers of any guerrilla, because here in Colombia we have right and left guerrillas, of any of those illegal army groups. And I invite 10 of my friends. We have been on the other side. And we go up to the mountains and we do a process of reconciliation, of getting to know each other, take off the labels, a little bit of what we experienced. And in the middle of the week, kids from an NGO will arrive. And we as a team, we need to create a summer camp for these kids. Also doing this analogy of if we do what we have to do, these kids will live in a country in peace. And he said, yes, of course. Let's do it. And you cannot imagine at the beginning how hard it was for me to convince some of my friends to do that with me. I still remember when I went to my school friends and said, do you want to do this? I'm going up to the mountains. Say, what? Tanya, are you crazy? Going to the mountains with guerrilla soldiers? Man, what happened to you? No, I've been with one of those. I mean, he's a cool guy. I mean, and the same thing happened to him. What? To the mountains with those guys? Why? I said, no, well, I know this guy and we can try it. And we did it. Here I am with Regis, the first day of that camp, and this is what happened.
Cuando yo me gradué del colegio, a mi tía la secuestra la guerrilla. Mientras yo era un líder estudiantil en una universidad privada en Bogotá, Regis era un líder estudiantil en una universidad pública en Cartagena. Y Regis terminó en las FARC y yo con mi tía secuestrada. Y 10 años después nos encontramos. Y nos conocemos por que nos hacen una invitación, me hacen a mí una invitación de ir a Dublín a dar una charla y a contar nuestro testimonio en un evento que se llama One Young World.
My name is Regis Ortiz. I am from Colombia. Y no aprendí a hablar inglés porque pensé que nunca iba a salir de mi país.
Y yo un día llamé a Regis y le di las gracias por lo que esto estaba haciendo mi familia y le dije a Regis, ¿por qué no hacemos esto por otras familias? Tengo una idea un poco loca, pero ¿qué pasaría si usted invita amigos suyos, también que han pasado por conflicto, por cualquier grupo? Y yo invito amigos míos que hemos estado a la otra orilla y vámonos para las montañas. Hagamos un campamento de verano de los que yo hago para niños de bajos recursos. Esto pareció un paseo cualquiera. Empiezan a llegar todos los participantes a montarse en el bus y venir a estas montañas tan lindas, pero no era un día cualquiera. Los que estaban llegando tenían historias de vida donde hace unos años estaban en el lado opuesto de un conflicto que nos ha desgarrado tanto. Y llegaban personas que habían pertenecido a grupos paramilitares, a grupos guerrilleros, víctimas de los anteriores, influenciadores.
Estas son las conversaciones que pasaban al final. Personas que de pronto han vivido con conflicto de una manera más coyuntural, más tangencial. Decían, no puedo creer que yo acabo de estar solo con una persona que estuvo en las FARC, con una persona que estuvo en las AUC, como que todavía, y susurraban, o sea, como que, porque no se la creen, ¿sí? Y que además estaban teniendo una conversación, una nota.
Y después abrimos un espacio para conocernos un poco mejor. De hecho, nosotros tuvimos que decidir entre 2 ejercicios y escogimos el que supuestamente iba a ser más corto. Y cada uno tenía que contar 2 momentos picos de su vida, los buenos y los momentos malos.
Asesinaron a esos 4 amigos míos. Pues ya estaba sin signos vitales y me dicen su hermano falleció.
A Natalia, que era mi prima de 4 años, le acaban de disparar. Todas coincidíamos que nos violaban.
Por ser líder estudiantil, llegaron las amenazas.
Y creamos un espacio seguro para eso. Pero fue duro. Yo ahí quedé preocupado, el grupo quedó en un punto muy bajo, fue demasiado, que no hubo tiempo, el tiempo que queríamos para volver a levantar energía del grupo y volver a a prepararlos porque ellos ahora tenían que preparar la bienvenida a los niños.
Llegan unos chiquitos que ya tienen cositas encima y me da mucha expectativa porque esos chinos nos van a meter una revolcada, nos van a enseñar a vivir, o sea, aquí, o sea, les vamos a enseñar y ayudar, pero ellos vienen a salvar vidas acá.
¿Quién diría que es una buena idea irse a unas montañas con unos ex paramilitares y ex guerrilleros? ¿Quién diría que eso es una buena idea? Cuando esto no es patrocinado por ningún gobierno, ni ningún proceso de paz, ni tiene cooperación internacional, y ¿quién diría que eso es una buena idea? Pero miren lo que pasó. Y acaba Congo, y lo que estamos haciendo es juntarnos para que los niños puedan vivir otras realidades, y lo hacemos a través del juego y de la magia.
Podemos hablar de dos emociones primarias, que son el amor y el dolor. Entonces, el movimiento del amor al dolor es un tránsito que nadie nos ha enseñado a hacer.
Y Bakondo en realidad lo que es un centro de reconciliación con el ser de cada uno. Y de ahí, cuando empezamos a reconciliarnos cada uno, empezamos a podernos reconciliar con el de al lado. Yo estuve en un campamento de reconciliación con autodefensas, con FARC y con un montón de locos que deciden que esto se puede hacer de una manera diferente. Unas historias muy desgarradoras, pero con unas ganas infinitas de vivir y de cambiar. Y no hay nada más rico que querer vivir. Hoy cuando llegó un chiquito decía que no quería vivir más. Y hoy se va diciéndome: espero que me vea cuando esté jugando fútbol profesional.
Y fue ahí, en ese preciso
I
momento,
was there in
en
that
donde
moment
decidí
in which I decided
abandonar la guerrilla
to escape
y trabajar
and work
por la construcción de un nuevo país
to build
sin violencia.
a new country without violence.
Y aquí seguiremos trabajando por la reconciliación.
Así es.
Aquí seguiremos, esto vale la pena. Hay más gente que necesita
Claro.
vidas que necesitan sangre.
Lo que demuestra esto, Dani, es que no importa tu forma de pensar, lo que hayas vivido. Lo importante es en el momento en que nos juntamos para hacer cosas maravillosas. Y eso creo que es lo que hemos hecho nosotros.
Así es.
Juntarnos para hacer cosas maravillosas.
After this experience, I received pictures like this one, before with his rifle, after working, and now with his family. And I received, Bakondo gave me many nice things, recognitions. We went to the World Economic Forum, received prizes, went to the media, but the best of all was the day my aunt told me, Danny, I want to meet him. No, the first thing she told me was, I want to send him a letter. Yeah, of course. No, I want to meet him. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can go to my place and we can order pizza. And she said, no. With your grandma, we want to invite him to our house to have a cup of coffee that have been pending for many years. And this is the day Regis made my aunt. And this is the day, before Christmas, I saw the reconciliation happened in the living room of my grandma's house. She told them for hours the experience of being kidnapped. And they told her how they had to guard kidnapped people and their experience being part of that guerrilla movement. Now, from time to time, every time I talk with him, he asks about her and she does the same. So I want to finish by saying I believe that my country and the world need visions more than plans. We need visionaries, Simon Sinek once said, I don't like the title of CEO. I think we should change it for CVO, Chief Vision Officer, someone in charge of creating and ensuring that the company is one on the right path to reach the vision. This is a picture of my city, 1998, and this is the same picture of the same street 2 years later. There was a vision behind that. This is a picture of Dusseldorf, Germany in 1990, the same picture of the same street some years later. There's a vision behind that. We need to build a vision with we're working with someone that thinks different that what you think is possible. Polarization is the worst sickness of our society today. We need to build a vision when peace is possible, and not only this political peace. Peace is possible in the table when you are with someone that just thinks different from another political party, people that just do not agree with you. Peace there is possible too. People here are probably there too think that that's not possible. And I believe that leadership isn't defined by your position, but by your actions. And here in my little corner of the world, when I tell people and my friends that we should do something, I usually share this quote and I say, if you think you are too small to have an impact, try going to bed with a mosquito in the room. It's little, but it makes the difference between a good or a bad night. And I believe we can be those mosquitoes that are not letting society sleep in so many barbarian things that are happening right now. We're the ones that are saying, this is just not right. We could do it differently. The meaning of life is to give life a meaning, and that usually happens outside the comfort zone. And this is what I have experienced the last years. That magic happens there. Or like Mark Twain said, there are the two most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find why. Or like Mother Teresa said, it is better to turn on a light than to dumb darkness. That's what we're still trying to do here in Colombia. Thank you for sharing this time with me and hearing this story and still being here. And now, more than happy to hear your impressions, your thoughts, any questions that you also might have about what we have done. Um, that's it. Thank you.
People could use the raise their hand function. They could come off mute, speak.
You are all confused or everything's very clear.
No,
One of
no,
two.
I have a question. I think
Hi,
about, I'm Satbir. I live in Tucson, Arizona, USA,
Mhm.
and Arizona used to be Mexico. The border moved, is
Mhm.
what happened here. And I wonder, okay, I think about a lot of things, but I'll focus on one. The women who have been raped and kidnapped and sexually violated that you work with. How do you keep them? How do you create safeness for them when they're when they're with men who may have been like the men that hurt them?
Thank you for your question. Yes, it's very tough because we not only have been working with women that have been raped, but also kids, which is harder. And unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to to keep creating those safe spaces for all the people that have gone through the camp. So we usually are very clear about the scope of our work, and we tell them, okay, this is we deliver this experience, but after that, um, we contact many of you are part of an NGO. That's the reason why we partner with other organizations because they are the ones that follow up and create these safe spaces. But I do have to say that especially with women, what I have found is that sometimes what they need is different from what at least I was expecting. Um, when they recreate what happened and when they start talking is also to rethink and re-victimize the horrible things that they're going through. Sometimes they need just to talk about other things and share other things. And so at the end, I mean, we recognize the story. They share the story with me, with us. We share our stories. We honor those stories, but we didn't live in the past. So what we tell them is, okay, now we have this challenge of these kids. And then after the camp, also, the story is, okay, now what we can do for society and what can we do to help each other, but not in a position of, I can help you. No, it's a position of being just friends. And sometimes we just share what what we will share with your friends: love, family, lack of money. I mean, opportunities. If I have a work opportunity, or if my friends have these kind of things, we just share it. And also, as any friend, when you are in trouble, you raise your hand and say, I'm in trouble. That happened to me last year. Sebastian, which he went to the first camp, and he's also another former guerrilla soldier. One day called me, said, Danny, I have a problem. He was in Colombia after there was a peace agreement 10 years ago or 7 years ago, something like that. And then, but many of the conditions to have a long-lasting peace did not happen. So we're still having a lot of problems with some of those guerrillas soldiers that are rising again. And one of these groups looked for him. He was at his job. They looked for him. They threatened him. They were going after him. So he had to go outside the city, take out his family, and go to hide himself. And he called me there, Danny, what can I do? He said, what do you need? I need to get out of the country. I said, okay. And well, we can do that. But the problem is not to take you out. The problem is, what are you going to do in another country? I mean, you need to have a job. You need to have, what are you going to do? Sebas, do you know someone somewhere? Say, yes, I have a relative in the United States. And say, impossible. To take him a visa to go to the States at this point is just impossible. Someone else. And so we contact the people in ACNUR in the United Nations, and they give us the information about what to do if you go to Europe and you are a refugee and all that stuff. So to make the long story short, we sent him to Spain, and he arrived to Spain, and like he had like 200 euros. So that was everything he had. And say, Danny, here in Spain, there's people, a lot of people asking for being refugees, like a political status of being refugees. So someone told him that he could go to Switzerland. That was easier. So he took his money, bought a train ticket, and went to Switzerland. I was kind of scared because I didn't know what was going to happen with a guy, let's say, was without English in Switzerland. But he arrived there. He was able to start the process. So I sent him a dossier with all the documents and everything. He started the process. I'm just going to show you here. Here is the, give me one sec. Here is a picture that he sent me after that when he started with his papers ready. When he started the process, this is the what he sent when he was getting to know this doll for the first time. This is the first time he found, and in July 12th, he sent me a message saying, I have my papers in order. Now I can work, and my dream is to take my family with me one day. I just share this story because it's what I would have done for any of my friends. In this case, of course, it's harder because his life was in danger. Fortunately, now it's not. But there's a little bit of the stories around. And thank you for the question. And if I talk too much, just let me know. If you have any other questions or comments or suggestions, more than happy to share.
Oh, Abraham, you go first.
Oh, you sure? Okay. Uh, Thank you so much, Buritica. I don't know if I pronounced the name correctly.
It's okay.
Okay. This is Abrams. I'm zooming in from Uganda, Kampala.
Mhm.
It's midnight here. So yeah. Thank you so much for the
So,
presentation. It's
so you're in the future.
exactly. I'm already in the future. They say tomorrow never comes, but it's already tomorrow here. All right. So um, thank you so much for the presentation, but thank you so much mostly for the work that you do. Wow, I was out of words during some of the, during many parts of your presentation, and yes, our work is aligned, but that's a story for in many ways, but that's a story for another time. Um, I I followed everything, but there's one uh, clip from one of the documentary films you shared, where you and Regis,
Yeah.
uh, that's the name, were wearing T-shirts that said "Wrong Camp," and his was black, yours was white. So I was trying to make sense of it because that's something that was not explained, but it really stuck with me, and I really like to know what that is about and what it represents, or yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the question. Yeah. It's so the name of the camp, it started with Bakongo with G, then now is Bakondo with D, and there's a reason for that. But at one point we said, okay, we want to take this to other countries. We want to do this somewhere else. And for 1 year we tried to we partner with these organizations in the States that have this methodology of innovation that's called Think Wrong, and we use it to start rethinking what we were doing. So for that year, we call it Wrong Camp. It turns out that the name is very good um, to share it outside, but inside, the kids and people who they cannot pronounce it properly. I mean, they were just confused with the fucking wrong camp.
Mm,
But we did T-shirts with wrong camp, and it was nice because we were going to. There's a very beautiful town here. If you have been in Colombia before, it's called Villavileiba. You haven't, please go. It's a beautiful town, colonial town, with people that comes here from everywhere in the world. And we were just walking with the kids for the town with our T-shirts, and people are stopping us saying, "What is wrong camp? What are you doing?"
mm,
Um, and it creates curiosity, which was great. And we had white teachers for the staff and black teachers for all the participants. So it was just a coincidence that I had that day. It was the day that we were going out of the camp to the town, so we put our t-shirts on. It was the only reason.
mm,
And nowadays, yeah, we still have, as any camp, we have our t-shirts. Now we came back to the name Bakondo, just because people could not pronounce wrong camp, but we still have the same idea and purpose of that this is a model that we could take somewhere else. And and happy to share methodologies and anything to replicate it.
all right. Thank you so much. I
Oh,
will be
thank you.
connecting with you directly, yes, because one of my areas of expertise and experience is creating safety, and I'll make sure that we connect
Oh yeah, I
to
would love to hear
to
you.
learn from each other and yeah, to exchange. Thank you so much again.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Danny. I'm here. I'm so glad that Carlos suggested that we contact you and get to know you and have you possibly present here. It was wonderful. I was had a question about if you could speak some more about the how you work or play with stories, because you yourself are such a wonderful storyteller. And I know that you kept mentioning people telling you their stories, the kids, adults. Do you have any, if you, since you mentioned the word methodology, what do you do to make their stories that the group owns the stories and not just them?
Yes, thank you for that. I love I'll talk about stories because I'm a big fan of the power of storytelling. A big fan of that. For me, the stories is like when you go to a supermarket, you take what you need. So when you hear a story, you take what is resonates with you. So it's a very powerful way to communicate a message. And also people hear the story and can replicate it. So it's for me easier. And I've used stories to inspire and to invite people, but also we use it a lot during the camp. We what we did is that we gamified the experience of being a volunteer during the camp. And the way we did it is okay. So just one step back, we had two purposes. For the kids, we're teaching value to the kids, and we give them tools for the environments that they are, so they can have more tools to handle what they need to handle. And for the adults that goes with us, we teach leadership through service. So there's also a lot of capabilities and skills that we want to develop there. So we create this story of a magic kingdom that is called Bakondo, and it's a story behind that. So we create this kind of mythology where this god that's called Garite, which represents everything that's good in the world, and his brother that is Ramadash represents everything that's bad, and they were united by a chain, and that's broken. And in the middle of nowhere, there's this Bakondo kingdom that was born as one of the pieces of that chain. So the story is that there are two kids, Toa and Tarik, that needs to find this magic kingdom. And there are some powers, good powers and bad powers, that some of them want to help them to find this magic kingdom, and some of them want to stop them to find it. A little bit of like a similar story of Hercules in the Greek methodology, that you have people that want to help me to become a god, and others that want to stop him to do that. And the good gods of the camp are these gods that are here. I'm going to present it. Here, let me introduce you to Kishar, Tuli, Tana, and Udara. And why is all this? Because when the kids and the kids and all the participants arrive to the camp the first night, if you go to Bakondo, the first night, Toa, the spirit of Toa and Tarik will appear. So we try to do a very good job. We think that we are like Cirque du Soleil. Probably we're not that good, but we do our best in the camp. So the spirit of Toa Tarik appear in the camp and teach to the participants one song. You have to sing the song 3 times. If all the camp sing the song 3 times, Tana, Kishar, Udara, and Tuli, those gods, they appear in the camp. And then share a story that and they present a challenge to the kids that they need to accomplish during that week. For example, they say, we hide happiness somewhere, and you need to find where happiness is, for example. And we do that because, and we do a ceremony, in the middle of the night with the bonfire and the torches, and these gods come and give to the kids a band in their heads and say, if you are going to be part of this tribe that's called Kishar, you will be forever Kishar. And indeed, if you go for the first time and you are one of these 4 tribes, you can never change. And these gods, when they come back to wherever they live, they leave a little box for you to send letters to them. So you can write to the gods. And you want to do that because if you go to the camp, you can win one of 4. Well, you can win the first time you go. You can win 4 medals. Let's say each medal represent one value. So discipline, courage, friendship, happiness, and you can only win that medal if someone see that value on you. So someone needs to send a letter to the gods saying, "I saw that this Majerli, this kid, did this, so you should give him happiness, or you should give her whatever." Discipline, and that's the kids send letter to, how do you say that? The kids send letter to propose their not only their peers but the volunteers, and the volunteers to the kids, and the volunteers. I mean everyone. So it's beautiful when more than one people postpone. No, when I give you recognize that value on yourself. So we the gods give that value in a very nice ceremony. And if you do that, you win the 4 medals, then you have to step in front of the camp and say, I propose myself for the big test. So we create a challenge that people have to go through, and they, if they make, if they go through that test and the challenge, they become like a different kind of warrior. And that repeats again and again. At the end are 12 values. So you can, if you win the first four, then you can come back and make the other four. And I have people that gone through the camp for 5 years just to make that happen. Let me just this I wasn't ready for that beautiful question, but I have some pictures here that will illustrate what being a guerrero, a Kai warrior means in the camp. So the last time we did it was in a few months ago. I think it was July, and this is a former paramilitary soldier who was a commander at that time. So his story is he did very bad things. But this happened 20 years ago. And so he went to the camp. People start showing him these values. The kids and the volunteers start recognizing him these values. And he went 2 times. And at the end of the last camp, he won the four medals. And he was very proud of himself. He stood in front of the camp and said, I, Norbey, want to propose myself for this challenge. And in the middle of the night, we took him for a walk. We took him. Here he is. You see my screen. Here's Norbey writing a letter to himself, a letter of forgiveness to himself for what happened before. And after he wrote that letter, he burned that letter, and he came back to me and he said, you now have to pick stones from the floor, but not for all the people that you killed, but for now all the people that you can make a difference in the life of that people, your son and daughter, your wife, your friends. So he started walking, picking up stones, and then we went to a lake and he prepared some words to share with the camp and with the kids of what it meant for him to win those medals and represent those values now in this moment of his lives. He's with the Colombian flag, and in the moment that he's arriving to the camp, this honor street of all the kids and the volunteers in their pajamas welcome him. He gave his speech, and I think one of my favorite pictures is this one. Here's where you can really see the power of a story. So we did that to create a camp where teaching values was fun, to create a narrative, different, but the story, which at the end is mythology, the gods, it was just a pretext. No, yeah, we did to create those kind of moments where everything has a meaning. And for Norbey, it has been a very important part of healing and giving back and healing all the wounds that he had himself and that he created in others. So just to recap, yes, I believe a lot in the power of storytelling. I use it a lot to inspire and invite people to join these kind of experiences. But we use it during the experience to create meaning and to create a new narrative of how we're trying to find this magic kingdom where at the end is just to train ourselves for life. And that life is a life where we can build a country different in peace. It's a whole new narrative for us and for these kids. So yeah, I hope that I have more to tell, but I don't want to take the floor for too long. That's a little bit of the story behind storytelling.
Much.
I saw earlier, Vicky, your group had a question or a thought. Do you still want to share it?
Thank you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, we
All right.
can.
This is Marlene. She has a question.
I would like to know, how do we help in a situation, help pick a country or a set of people we can help at this time?
Yes, people.
Thank you for that question.
Welcome.
Look, I am. I always tell people that there's three things that we can do. You can support people that is doing great stuff. There's a lot of people doing great stuff. I share my story, but I'm sure you have shared more. In our case, more than welcome if any of you want to help us with three things or one of three. We need time, people that help us as volunteers. We need money to make these camps happen, and we need your voice to share this story. So that's so number A, sure, help someone. Number B, if you go and you don't like anything that you see outside, you want to create your own project, that's another way to help. And I always encourage people that they create projects and organizations and anything that help others. But if you don't like the first or the second option, I give people a last one. And I said, do nothing. If you're going to do nothing, stop criticizing others, stop blaming, stop complaining, and let us do the work for those who are really doing something. It's your choice. In our case, more than happy to receive any help. We do need a lot of, just to give you a quick example, but I am in Colombia, in Colombia, find $2,000 is harder than find $20,000 in the States. It's just so sometimes we have a lot of challenges finding resources here. On the other hand, we have a lot of young people, especially that want to give their time, that want to be part of this process, and I believe a lot in the power of impacting young people. Just because of the fact that it was harder for me to convince my parents to think differently about the guerrilla soldiers, for example, of course, for the reasons that I explained. But the day that I say, I have a friend, okay, my son, he's a friend for guerrilla soldiers, that changed completely the story. It not only happened to me, I have Camila, a friend of mine. Camila, her grandfather was a minister in Colombia. He was a very important guy. And after being the Minister of Defense, he was an advocate for peace, and he was kidnapped and killed by the FARC. So when I invited her, she said, no, I can't. I mean, I cannot tell my grandma that I'm going to a camp with guerrilla soldiers. I mean, I said, Cami, the same happened to me. I didn't tell my grandma at the beginning. Take the risk. She did it. She loved it. And then she wrote a letter for her family that she put in the Christmas tree. On the Christmas night, they opened the letter, and she explained what she had done. And her grandma was in tears saying, I think that your grandfather would be very proud of you. Here we have now a official institution of peace and reconciliation. It's a trial for peace. That's similar to what happened in South Africa. We have that here. Camila was invited there to share her story. And she was there. She said, I went to this peace camp. And after that, I met some of these guys, and it completely changed the way I see now the conflict in my country and what happened to us. And that changed also Camila's family. So I believe a lot in the power of working with young people. In being practical, the problem of working with young people is that they cannot pay for this. They don't have the money. So I need to find the resources to do it. But it is very powerful, indeed. Maureen.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for your work and for this beautiful storytelling. You paint such a visual and a vivid picture of your work. So I am an improviser. So I improvise through life. I teach improvisation in all different settings. And my experience of you is as a grand improviser, in that your story is you build something, then you're impacted by it, you learn, and then you build the next thing. Like, that's my experience of this, is that you allow yourself to keep changing and keep creating the next thing. And so the video of the camp with the adults telling their stories, and the reconciliation that was happening, and you talked about this moment of people being very full, obviously very emotional, and then the video pivots to everyone in costume out getting ready, I think, to welcome the children. And I was curious if you could speak more about your sense of play and improvisation and the bravery I think it can take in these moments of deep pain and fear to 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 invite a grouping of people to keep playing. Because that's what I feel like you keep doing. You keep allowing people to see what they're doing from so many different perspectives. And I just wanted to have your sense of that. And I'm also curious, like, where'd you get your playfulness? Like, how do you understand that? Um, so just anything you can give us around you and play.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, yes, you give me the chance also to explain very briefly, like the structure of the camp. They always come first, the adults. We have some time to do some team bonding um, and share our stories, and then the kids arrive. But every day when the kids go to sleep, we stay with the adults and we help them process what they're going through because there's a lot of emotions, a lot of reflections, a lot of teaching each day. They used to say, I mean, I've been here for 3 days, but it looks like 3 months. I mean, everything that they're going through. And then the kids leave the camp and we stay with them longer, helping them to process. So just to say that we are very, um, we're very aware that the process is not only for the kids, but also for the participants, the adult participants, and that the process for them is sometimes even harder to process because of the thing that they have gone through. Not only the former soldiers, I mean, all of us. Saying that, one of the things that they recognize as the most important of this space, and they come back for this, it is not play. They say they are my inner child. I mean, this rediscover or recreate. I mean, I am a I am child here again, and even harder. Sometimes they say, for the first time I was child here because those participants that were in war, they took away their best years of their lives. They had a rifle, so they never played. So having the chance to discover that and come back and say, now I can do this with my kids, it is very powerful. And the fact that play unite us, put us together, and in all of us, we come back to be what we were. And I always tell in that night around the bonfire with all the adults, and say, you know what? What I saw today was you were more engaged in playing than the kids because they love it. I love it. The last time we were in camp with Carlos, that as we mentioned before, is this amazing magician that I have the fortune to have as a friend. Sometimes what we have to do is being the ones that organize things and not being there with the kids because someone needs to do that. So I was with Carlos and we were like organizing the next activity and putting everything together. And at one point, one of our friends say, we're going to play the Pirates game. We have a Pirates game that we love. And with Carlos, we just looked at each other and we left everything and we went go to play because we play that game probably 1 or 2 times a year and we love it. And that's just to recognize how aware and how important it is for us to come back to those moments and play. And just let me finish with this final anecdote. This is this guy that actually now is in the country, important guy in the industry of the music, Isaac. He went to one of these camps like 10 or 15 years ago during his college years, and he loved it. Absolutely. After that, he said that now the kind of leadership that he applies in his job and everything that he does is thanks to what he learned here with the kids. He got married, and he went to now his wife. Now he's going to his new house, and he asked one thing. He said, "You know what? For our new bedroom, I just need to take one thing from my old bedroom." And she said, "What is that?" He said, "A picture." A picture, yes. And it's this picture. Let me share my screen with you. And it's a picture. He in the camp with the kids in his pirate mood. And he said to her, because this always remind me my inner child that I don't want to leave behind in this adult life, paying the mortgage. Now he has his picture in his in the bedroom with his wife. Again, just to recognize the power of that moment of coming together, playing together, no matter what you live, no matter how old you are, no matter which part of the conflict you were, no matter anything. We're just here having fun. And that's very, very powerful. So thank you. Thank you for your questions. I think that Des is here. I see you. You're back.
Yes,
So I'm guessing that my time is over. But I really, before we end, I really want to thank you for your time, your questions. More than happy to connect with all of you in anything that you need, and in any way that I can be helpful for the amazing work that I know that also you are doing. Please let me know.
Yes, and Daniel's information is in the chat for people that would like to stay in contact with him. Phone numbers, email, social media, and also website. We're going to open up the whiteboards and let people meander in the mess and just share some thoughts, emotions, anything that resonated with you. You could draw, you could type, you could write, put post-it shapes. Just going to open this up for 2 minutes.
Oh, I love this.
Thirty seconds. I'm going to close out the whiteboard. All right. Thank you so much for everyone who added to the whiteboard. Our last session for today is at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Zip Talks, short sessions presented with zeal, intimacy, and passion. We will see everyone in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Once again, thank you to Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Care everyone.
Thank you.
Good work.
It's a pleasure.
Next session.
Thanks.
Bye bye.